And welcome into PressBox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles at PressBox at PressBoxOnline.com. And with me tonight on this Wednesday evening is Gary Stein. Gary, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, Stanley. How about yourself, my friend?
And I know you're doing great. I'm doing great. I know you're particularly excited that we turn our attention to football with Kevin Rochlitz, the Senior Vice President and Chief Sales Officer of the Baltimore Ravens. And Kevin, I'm going to welcome you in just a minute after I pay a bill that helps us pay for this thing. You know how that works. I want to thank our friends out at the Costas Inn. They've been a loyal sponsor with Stan the Fan and PressBox for over 25 years. During the pandemic, they really stepped up their game in the curbside takeout business. If you're interested in steamed crabs, crab cakes, any of the specials they have, anything that the Costas Inn serves, you can find it on their website, order your food, pay for it, and just pick it up. It's as simple as that, CostasInn.com. Phone number 410-477-1975, and they are located at 4100 North Point Boulevard, one of the iconic restaurants in Baltimore. Now we turn our attention, speaking of icons, he's an icon in sports sales. He is Kevin Rochlitz. And Kevin, how are you this evening?
Doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're
Kevin.
doing very well. It's an exciting time. We're just about 2.5 weeks away from training camp starting. So we wanted to talk some football. And
Yeah.
What precipitated my inviting you on is actually my not reading a press release. I saw the announcement about 5 weeks ago that the Ravens had signed a deal with Tico Sports to do Spanish broadcasts of the Ravens games. I said, boy, that's a really neat idea. It's never been done before. Let me get Kevin Rochlitz on. I find out you've been doing it for a few years, just with a different company. Tell us why, when you started this with a different company, and why the Ravens think that this is important to growing their brand.
Well, we started a few years ago, and there was interest. This group, as we started to do research about our fans, we want to be so diverse in this marketplace, and understanding that the diversity is so key to us and our growth. And so as we started to look and investigate our TV radio options and stuff like that, we had a visit with the folks at WBAL, our partner, and we said, hey, we want to try and add this Spanish radio part to our multimedia mix. And they were like, sure, we understand. We totally get it. So we kind of went through the process and found this group, La Nueva, and we went through and we had an agreement with them. And I think it's grown over the past few years. And so now we're going with a company called Tico Sports, and we're really excited about it. And I think it just adds another ability for us to communicate to our fan base. And it's really important to our organization that we stay diverse in the Baltimore, DC, marketplace, and continue to grow our fan base. And so we're excited about airing, the games on their two stations in the market, and having David Andrade and Alan Gutierrez broadcast the games. And so it's always a different, unique perspective, and it's interesting. And I always get excited hearing them and learning a little bit more about our fans and about those folks that are in the market.
And do they travel when the Ravens play on the road? Is the broadcast set up in the visiting town?
They do. They've been traveling. They travel on their own, but they do travel to the away games in the market, and they'll do home and away. And so we're excited to have that. A lot of teams now, Stan, have Spanish radio broadcasts in certain markets, and so it's becoming one of those things it's very similar to other teams. So we're not atypical. There's a lot of teams, especially as you go, whether Dallas, Texas, or San Diego, or those California teams. So we're not atypical, but it's great for us.
So if Gary and I did a quick study learning Spanish, could we get jobs as the play-by-play voice and color analyst of Raven football?
You two might be pretty good at it. You might be.
I think I'd be really good at it, Kevin. So I'll have an
Yeah.
offline conversation.
Absolutely.
Kevin,
You definitely say touchdown and goal.
I can say I can draw it out. Also, we have very long touchdown. Hey, Kevin, the Ravens are one of the more how shall I say it, progressive teams when it comes to analytics, just in general, in terms of the on-field analytics. They have a department that analyzes, and I know a lot of the teams are going to that now, but the Ravens seem to be the leaders. I wonder, off the field, in your sales capacity, sponsorship capacity, what type of analytics you use and what your analytics is telling you about the Hispanic market, and like what are some of the characteristics of that?
Well, it's obviously the Hispanic market is growing. And so we're trying to make sure we stay ahead of that. And we have partners that'll buy just Hispanic radio and continue to do that. So when we spoke with like our naming rights partner, M&T, and we said, would you guys like to be a part of that? And the answer was absolutely. That's a huge thing that we want to be a part of. So we continue to keep navigating that through our analytics that we provide. We have a business analytics department that we use from time to time to literally make sure we understand our customers, what vehicles they purchase, what soft drink they buy, and those type of things. And so we really lean on them to help us guide our path as we do our business. But we also use it to make sure that we keep close to understanding our fan base and making sure that we understand, what does our fan expect of us? What are they looking for in us to make sure we deliver from a customer service standpoint, and those type of things throughout the year.
Kevin, also, there are some rules and regulations when it comes to territory in the NFL. Obviously, you're very close to the Eagles and the Commanders. There are certain territories that you can broadcast in, et cetera. Yep. It's interesting to me that the station is located in Montgomery County, if I'm not mistaken. The AM.
It is.
Yeah. So do the same rules apply when it comes to Spanish language? And who actually is going to hear the broadcast in what area?
You'll be able to hear it in the Baltimore and DC marketplace. But basically, when it comes to radio or television, so for example, WJLA is an affiliate partner of ours in DC, and they carry our preseason games. And we have a radio affiliate also. We have the ESPN affiliate in DC carrying our games. So radio and TV in weather market where we have the restrictions, those don't exist. It's basically the media market of Baltimore and Washington. We'll end up being on many stations in that market to make sure that we cover the entire geography area. As we go further out, like for example, Gary, you'll kind of laugh, is that one of our affiliates, believe it or not, is in Louisville, Kentucky. So
I believe it.
and most of you would probably understand why, but
right.
But if that was any other case in any scenario, we probably wouldn't do it. But it's the respect of you have within territories with ownership that you stay in. And so we're primarily in this territory in Baltimore, Washington, Virginia area. We go a little bit up in Pennsylvania, a little bit into those territories. But other than that, we try and stay respectful to the teams that are in the market.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, the word diversity, we usually hear that in political discussions about, hiring practices, and so on and so forth. You use the term because it's a way to increase bandwidth of the Ravens brand.
Yep.
Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we try and hit all those diverse groups. So we'll continue to keep growing. I think our organization wants to be the lead on the diversity. I know we're working with our friends and partners at WBAL TV to be involved in a lot of their diversity things that they're going on at their station. We formed a diversity action committee within the Baltimore Ravens, employees that are involved. And we've even started to the point now where our employees are meeting with WBAL employees, and they're working together to find ways that we can do more diversity action, diverse things in the marketplace.
Gary asked you about analytics in sales. So where did the diversity issue become big enough for you guys to react and do this? Was it about 4 or 5 years ago? You said, boy, we're hearing these numbers are just growing.
I think we looked at our fan base and knew that it was growing. The Hispanic population was growing. but we also looked at the marketplace as a whole and everything that happened over diversity and knew that, hey, we need to take a bigger voice in this. And if you remember, our owner took a bigger voice in it, in the diversity stuff. So we've tried to make a bigger impression and do bigger things in the marketplace from that standpoint. So we're going to continue to do more and more. I think you'll see us look at other ways that we can be involved in diverse programs in the Baltimore and state of Maryland area. And from a standpoint of radio and TV, we'll continue to try and keep going down that path with our partners.
Yeah.
Kevin, as you well know, outside of the broadcast, there's the promotion of the broadcast. There's, partnerships. There are player appearances, ticket giveaways, et cetera, et cetera. How does that work with the Hispanic station? Do you guys have that? In fact, do any of your players speak Spanish? How do your players communicate?
Well, that's what we're going to end up, as we go through this process, we're going to learn more and more about that, knowing that we've probably started out and we were like riding on a mini bike. Now we're on a big bike. And so we're trying to learn more about that. But our players, obviously, when they go down and do the interviews, they're speaking in English and they're giving that information to their customers. So we're going to have to get better at that kind of stuff as we go through this process. As it relates to promotions and things like that, with this partnership, we don't get as deep into that relationship as promotions with them because of our relationship with Hearst and WBAL. But I think those are things that we'll monitor and we'll see how that path grows and how this relationship grows over the next few years.
And also, Kevin, on the broadcast itself, okay? On the English language broadcast, you've got the play-by-play, the color person, you've got an on-field reporter, post-game, pre-game, et cetera. Same situation for this broadcast as well?
Well, David and Alan are doing the broadcast and they're not necessarily doing a sideline reporter. It's basically from up in the booth, but they do attend training camp. They do attend practices. They are going on the road games. They do come to interviews and do interviews. So it's just as the same as another broadcast. It's just in a different language. And so they have their core fans that will listen every week. And I think that's what we're going to do is continue to monitor it and kind of grow and see what we can do to be a great asset to their organization.
This is really an interesting topic. Now, I know you have,
It is.
I know you're the chief sales officer at the Ravens, but you got a whole host of salesperson. Are any of them, do they speak Spanish? And is it big enough in the sales area that you may need to bring in somebody that speaks Spanish?
I don't think any of my team speak Spanish, and that's probably disappointing. But I think it's one of those things that again we will monitor and we will go through that. But I know we have our customer base that there are interests and there are people that are looking at this, and I think it's one of those things that's going to continue to grow. And we have partners that ask about it and are going to want to get involved. And we're probably going to spend more time on it as we go through the next few years in this partnership.
But mostly right now, it's people that are already partners with you that see a way to expand their presence with the Ravens.
They do. And Tico Sports has their own sales force that's going
Okay.
out and meeting with their clientele and selling this as part of their package. So as in any, Tico understands their customers better than we do. So they're meeting with a lot of folks and they've reached out to us a few times to need some assistance to get into some folks, and we'll do that. But their sales team is out there selling it and working hard at trying to do that with their customers.
Kevin, so it's 10:50 a.m. is the flagship, 93.5 FM, if I'm not mistaken. Does 10:50 a.m. have a sports talk show at all? Is there any outside of Ravens games talk about the Ravens?
I believe they've been doing some sports updates and those type of things in their broadcasts from time to time. Knowing that Tico is going to take this over and that this will be their first year, I would anticipate that they'll probably do a little bit more over there. But I do know that this is a primary focus for them in WTTZ, the station there, the FM station, to try and make sure that they continue to highlight the Ravens in their daily stuff that they do.
Also, one of the things I like about BAL and probably many other stations around the country that carry football, they intersperse in the broadcast some player player bites, sound bites that they may have collected during the week.
Yeah.
If Lamar makes a big play or someone else makes a big play, it could be appropriate. What about the opportunity in the Spanish language broadcast? Do you think they'll do the same thing?
We'll have them out at media day when the training camp starts, and they'll be able to do some vignettes with our players and things like that. So we're going to treat them the same as we do BAL, and they'll have the opportunity to get all of that. Obviously for us, we want as much promotion as we can for the organization. And whether it's selling season tickets or doing whatever we want to do, we'll continue to do that with our partner with Tico as well.
So let me just move on to something else. The business of the Ravens right now, would you say it's strong right now?
I do. We're sold out of suites, and that's a good indicator in our market. It's probably the earliest we've ever sold out of every suite inside M&T Bank Stadium. Our business is very healthy. I think our fans are very engaged. If you look at last year with the injuries and those type of things that we had, you're getting players back. I think everyone's very, very excited about it. So I think, COVID has taught you going to games it means a lot more, and being there in person, it's just so much fun. So we take great pride, especially with our game entertainment committee that's led by Brad Downs and Jay O'Brien, about being one of the best game day atmospheres in the National Football League. Last year, I think we were number 2. And that is a priority in our organization, to make sure that you have fun at M&T. And why we built the boards and the entertainment and the type of things that we do, we're going to continue to do that. So it's our customer service, our game day entertainment is a very big priority for our organization.
Kevin, you know this as well as anyone, that sports is kind of cyclical in terms of team success. The Ravens, to their credit, have almost been cyclical proof because they've stayed relevant just about every season. The team that plays next to you has been down for 4 or 5 years. From a perspective, is it good for business when both teams are good? Because the Orioles look like they're about ready to get back to some level of relevance. They're on a 9-game winning streak now, going for 10. Do the other team root for the other team because it makes sports more vibrant in the town?
Absolutely. Let me just move because my light went off. Try to save power here. So, yes,
save Steve a few bucks.
Save some money here. Definitely, when the Orioles are winning, it just rises in town. I mean, it's all about it. It's just like going through our gates on Monday when you win. The coffee tastes a lot better.
Yeah,
you name it. But definitely, I mean, we support the Orioles. We obviously on opening day we light the stadium orange. We do those type of things. So we always want to do whatever we can to support them. But when everybody's winning, it just rises to the top in this town, and I think it's all positive. So I think everybody feels better, and when you're on a 9-game winning streak, for sure, everybody in town is going to care about sports. And I just think talk radio is better, and it just makes things a lot better. So we're encouraged by it. I think we're really encouraged by, what's coming up in the month of August here with training camp and everything that's going on. So I think it's an exciting time in Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
Anything new happening that the fans can look forward to, Kevin, in terms of the game day experience coming up?
Well, I know our committee's working very hard at some concerts and things like that we'll have on game days. I anticipate that we'll still deliver the same great customer service that we always do. From a in-game experience, we're always focused on what new things we can do on the video boards and that type of stuff. So that all those things will come into play as we start the season, but we don't rest around here. We always try and be the best. And our organization, really focuses on trying to deliver the best game day atmosphere in the National Football League.
Well, I know Jay's in Nashville right now attending a conference on that. I spoke to him today, actually.
Yes, and I think he's down there learning some new ideas and those type of things. And I'm sure he'll come back, and we'll be in a meeting soon and figure out what we can apply for this year.
One of the things, by the way, that I think you guys have really improved upon over the last couple of years is your in-game fantasy football stats and production, keeping people up to date. Not that they don't have their phones and they can do it also, but not everybody not everybody does that. I think you guys do a really good job of showing the scores, showing the receivers, the passers, etc., where the ball is, and is a team going in for a touchdown. I just think that has really improved over the last few years.
Yeah, that was a priority for us when we built those new video boards in the corner, to make sure that we give as much stats and information, the away game scores that are going on during the game, so folks can get those. That was a big priority for us. So we spent a lot of time on that to make sure we deliver that content, especially as we go into the era, Gary, that we are in sports gambling, and knowing that people want to know those scores and highlights, and it's going to continue, especially when that date comes that sports gambling is mobile in the state of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, is Ravens Stadium, I mean M&T Bank Stadium, will that ever be a place that you can actually make wagers on game day?
It could be. We have the opportunity to do that. We're very conscious about that, knowing that our partner down the street, the Horseshoe Casino, is there. And to me, if the casino's there and the mobile gaming is there, you're going to be able to do your gambling. But I don't think we want to hurt our partner's business, and that's been important to us. But when the mobile does start, there is some opportunities that we may look at with our partners to see if we want to put some kiosks or those type of things in the building. I just think we're kind of waiting to see when that mobile starts and how that process will take place, and then we'll start talking about that.
I want to ask you a question outside of the Baltimore Ravens sphere. How shocking was it to you to hear the news that Heinz Field will not be Heinz Field anymore starting this season?
Well, I knew that their agreement was ended, and so I knew that the Steelers were out there looking for a new partner and trying to get that figured out. So it wasn't shocking to me. The name is probably a little unique, so that'll take a little bit getting used to.
I've already forgotten it. I know I read it. It's Acrisure.
Yeah. So a company out of Michigan. So it'll take us a little time to get used to that. But the Steelers obviously were out there looking for a partner for the past couple years, and they obviously found one. I believe there was some tie-ins with one of the minority owners of the Steelers or something like that. So it'll be a different name. They're still a tough football team, and we'll always have a challenge going into Pittsburgh to beat them.
Will we go into the Heinz red zone now?
I don't.
We're about to score touchdown.
I watched the press conference, and they said about the bottles. They said, well, maybe the ketchup bottles will stay, and it'll do that. So I don't know if that will continue or not, that you'll be going in the Heinz red zone. I know in ours, you'll go in the McCormick red zone with Frank's Red Hot. So I know that will always continue. And McCormick is here in Baltimore for all of our fans. So that's just one thing.
All kidding aside, when someone loses the naming rights like that, or the naming rights holder decides to leave and say it's not worth what we can't justify that. But it sounds like Heinz and the Steelers are still going to have a very close relationship. Heinz being out of Pittsburgh, so everybody's kind of like an adult in the room now. Yeah, that's kind of changed over the years.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're talking about two companies that are major partners in that marketplace in Pittsburgh. So I think that there's no other reason to be positive about it and work through those things. But if you remember, Heinz was a different company years ago when they purchased the naming rights. They were a standalone company. Now they're owned by Kraft. So it's a little bit different property and different organization than what it was when they started that relationship.
Yeah, I know Kraft Heinz is paying for that sponsorship, not Heinz.
Right.
Kevin, let me ask you though, because we're talking about the name, I certainly understand from Acrissure's perspective. I don't even know what they do, but now we will.
Insurance.
They're going to get some brand recognition, etc. But there is, and we were just joking about it, offhandedly a minute ago. There is a little bit of a getting used to. It's not a common name. I'm sure it's going to be the butt of some jokes over time, et cetera, et cetera. Is there a downside to the team for something like that? I mean, I know they're getting the money, Okay.
Yeah.
But like, is there some kind of reaction out on social media or something that presents a downside in that type of situation?
I'm sure there are people that don't agree with it and will not like it. But at the end of the day, it's the name of the stadium. It's where the Steelers will play. And I think everybody thinks with their heart and they'll still be a Steelers fan, whether it's Heinz Field or Acrisure Stadium, either way. It's just one of those things that's part of business. And it's like us, if you go fly an airline and they get bought a week later or 2 weeks later, you're still going to fly them because you still need to go somewhere. You still need to go to a sporting event and support the team and support your local community. So I think it's just one of those things. It's part of the business. We all know, like, losing players, it's part of the business, and that's part of the business here.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of,
yeah.
Go ahead, Gary. You go ahead.
I mean, I was just thinking, Kevin, I know that you haven't been, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think you've been with the Ravens since day one, right?
Hmm.
Right. But
Well, I'm on 20 years here.
20 years.
Did you get your gold watch?
Not yet.
Not
yet.
25. Just talk a little bit about the evolution. Like, can you just think back where you were 20 years ago and, the types of deals you were doing and the types of, relationships that you had with sponsors and the type of team that it was back then, as opposed to what's happened over the last 20 years?
Yeah, I just brought this up to someone yesterday, is that when I started here, we had 75 employees and now we're at like 266.
Phew.
So that's a big difference. I mean, if you think about it, and you guys were here before me, so you remember that we were downtown on St. Paul, and we were in the stadium, and that was the business. I mean, when I started in 2004, our front office was at M&T Bank Stadium on the one side, and we were on 2 floors, and that was it. There was nobody else. Now we can't, that we can't fit anybody down there now. So the business has grown. Just like I remember when I started here, I actually got a laptop and I had to connect it to a phone cord to connect it to the payphone and hold my laptop and download my emails through the thing. And now you don't do that anymore. In fact, I beg to try and find a payphone in Baltimore right now. So the business has changed. Obviously, sports gambling has changed. Digital. We didn't have the website. We didn't have all the streaming services and all that stuff that we've had. The business has grown. I mean, the National Football League has grown. TV ratings have grown. So it's a big business, but this team has grown. The fan base has grown. I think our success winning 2 Super Bowls has made a big difference in Baltimore. We've grown that fan base here. We've grown a lot of fans across the country. With the ability to have great names and great people play this game here. Ed Reed and Ray Lewis has been able to grow our game. So I just think it's the whole organization as a whole has grown. We've learned a lot, but we've also tried to stay true to the core, which is grow our fan base and make sure we pay attention to our fans.
Kevin, before we go, I just want to ask you, with training camp about to start, I guess it was about 10 or 11 years ago that the decision was made to have training camp at Owings Mills rather than Westminster. There was, I won't call it an outcry of people that were upset about that, but it was a little bit controversial at the time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, was it the right move for a variety of reasons?
Well, I think it was. I mean, it's a lot easier to have everybody at your home base, and we were taking all the weights out of the weight room and moving it out there. And now that, for a while we didn't have fans. Now we've opened it up to fans. I saw some news today from our marketing group that we sold out all of the training camp passes in a very quick fashion today. So I'm sure, we'll do whatever we can to get as many people out here for practice and do that. But our number one priority is to make sure that we do good for the fans. And that's why we're going to be doing a practice down at the stadium for one day that'll be open to the fans. So
do you have that date?
I don't think we've released it yet, but it's coming up here soon. And so we'll continue to keep doing whatever we can to make sure that we keep it open for the fans and let them have that, because I think that's a core piece that's important to our ownership and important to our team is that we do that. And we got an exciting team.
Yeah, no question about it. Before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't. We had a chance to talk to Rob Burnett last week about his friendship of close to 35, 40 years with Tony Siragusa. You lost an active player in Jalen Ferguson, and you lost Tony Siragusa. You guys are, we always say they're like a family, but I know there's a family atmosphere. How tough was that in the building for those two?
It was very tough. I happened to be on the road with Sashi, our president, when a lot of this was taking place. And I mean, I don't think there's very many times that you lose a current and then a past player in that time frame. And so that's a tough thing for our organization, for people that know them, and they're both great guys. I mean, Tony Siragusa, when I first started here, I know I had to reach out to him one time, and Dennis Mannion, my former boss, had asked me to call him. And I remember getting on the phone with him and saying, "Hey, this is Kevin Rochlitz in corporate marketing." And he told me, I remember him specifically, Tony saying to me, "Just what I need is another marketing guy calling me. What do you want?" and you guys can hear Tony doing that, because that's who he was. And I've heard the stories of him landing a helicopter out in practice one day and wearing a hat during the Super Bowl that had a logo on it, had to pay a fine. I mean, this guy was a ball of joy. And so I know everybody misses him, and he was a great fixture and a great centerpiece of those Super Bowl in 2000. So we do miss it, and it's tough. It's very hard losing current and active players.
Hey, on the other side, flip side of that coin, you lost a team president. We didn't lose him, but he's gone, Dick Cass, and the new president is Sashi Brown. Can you talk a little bit about that decision of Dick's and your initial impressions of Sashi? I'll give you a chance to shine and
Well, they're very, they're very similar. I mean, Sashi used to work with Dick at the law firm in DC. When I started here in this organization, believe it or not, Dick was doing some of our contracts before he came over as a president. And at one point he's like, I can't do all these. So work with one of my law guys here, Sashi Brown, and he'll do it. So I've come full circle with Sashi. He was doing our contracts and now he's my boss. So it's just, I think, number one, it's great. It was a great process that Steve and Dick went through. Dick was able to find his heir apparent. And what it did do is it allowed for a seamless transition. And Dick is still coming around every once in a while. And, he loves being involved with football and seeing what's going on. So, but it's been a seamless transition, and it's a typical thing that Steve Bisciotti does and makes it really good for everybody. And I just think everybody enjoys Sashi. Everybody's still trying to get to know him and meet him. But I think, there's a lot of similarities between him and Dick. And I think everybody sees that. And I think that the process will be very, very simple transition.
Hey, we really appreciate your coming on. Gary, you got one last one for?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it, Kevin. The team always is in transition. The roster never stays the same. There's always 8 or 10, if not more, new players every year. But what's interesting to me about the Ravens, and I've been covering them basically since day one, is not only the transformation of the roster from year to year, but now in the front office, longtime players, we'll call them, the Kevin Burns, the Bob Ellers, the Dick Casses of the world have turned it over to the Chad Steels.
Roy Summerhoff. Yeah.
Right, exactly. You're actually one of the more senior guys now.
Yeah, I mean, it's I literally just had this conversation today with somebody, is that we had this group, and it's very unique because our CFO Jeff Gehring has been here a long time. Brad Downs, our senior VP of marketing, he's been here a long time. A lot of our senior level people have been here a long time, but the group that we just had leave, you took not our operationally of the Under Armour Performance Center with Bob Eller, but the operations of M&T Bank Stadium with Roy Summerhoff. You're talking about two people that had probably 80 years of experience between the two of them, and we're starting at scratch. So it's really one of those things that it's like the group has left, and now we got a new group coming in, and you know what, and behind us, there'll be another group. So
Yep.
that's the benefit in this organization, is that we're always thinking about who's going to be the next person and how we can fill and backfill from there. So be thankful that we have a great, strong leadership team here. They've been here a long time. And I think that's just as important with the new president coming in and having that transition and seeing that stuff take place, that it's really a seamless transition between everybody that we have here, and we'll continue to do great things. And, you know, Kevin had Chad Steele in the reins, and Chad's really doing a great job. And I know Kevin continues to check in from time to time. And I know you guys check in with Kevin from time to time. From the rumors I'm hearing, he's the pickleball champion down in Hilton Head. So I'm hearing some pretty big things about Kevin Byrne down there. So as competitive as he is, it does not surprise me.
Hey, it's lastly, there's no pressure on you to raise more money to pay Lamar Jackson, is there?
Yeah, I think that's always the case. They never tell me the budget's the same as the last year.
Hey, we really appreciate your coming on to talk about the state of the Ravens and this exciting partnership with Tico Sports.
And we got soccer this Saturday at M&T, so that'll be another exciting event.
Jeez, it was. Okay, I forgot that.
Yeah.
All right. That is
so that'll be another exciting event. It'll be good for the city.
Yep. So Kevin, just FYI, John Maroon called me. I'm going to be doing the press box PA for that as well.
Oh, good.
Yep.
That'll be the voice of soccer in Baltimore.
Exactly.
That's
Kevin,
great. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much. Kevin Rochlitz, who's Senior VP, Chief Sales Officer of the Baltimore Ravens. And we'll let him go and tell you that we have been brought to you tonight by the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard. And as I always say, Gary, if you are in the business of wanting to eat great food, but you don't want to eat it indoors with other people around you, you want to take it home to your family where you feel a little safer in this climate, the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. Go to their website, costasinn.com. You can check out your order, check out what you want to order, pay for it, and then just drive over to the Costas Inn and pick it up, whether it's steamed crabs, crab cakes, steak, salads, whole host of things at the Costas Inn.
And Stan, like you always say, not only can you pick it up, but they pack it up real good. Right? In other words, it's not a mishmash of a whole bunch of stuff.
No, you're not going to have the crab soup on top of your mashed potatoes or anything like that.
That's not bad,
actually, it isn't. But hey, we may come up with a new menu item for the Costas Inn. Hey, Gary, you and I are on next week.
I think it's Thursday night next week.
We're on next Thursday night. And who is our guest next Thursday night?
The 21st. It is.
I did this to you last week. I know who it is the following week on Thursday the 28th.
Next week is Ray Schulte.
Ray Schulte talking about the National, which is coming to Atlantic City, New Jersey, the preeminent sports collectible event. It's usually held in Chicago, but about every 5 years, it's in Atlantic City. We'll talk to Ray Schulte next Thursday at 7:00. The following week, the 28th at 6:00, we're going to talk to Coach Mike Loxley of the Maryland Terrapins, and we're pretty excited about that.
Very excited. I'm looking forward to football season with him.
See if we can get some carryover from that momentum that the Terps had at the end of last year.
Exactly.
All right. So again, thanks to the Costas Inn, thanks to Kevin Rochlitz of the Baltimore Ravens. I'll see you Monday night with Ross Grimsley and I. We'll be doing something this coming Monday. Oh, one other note. Tomorrow at 12 noon, Luke Jackson and I will be talking with Dan Zielinski, the third. He's with Baseball Prospect Journal. That's his own company. He's up on all baseball's draft stuff. The draft starts this coming Sunday night. They'll be doing
interesting times for the Orioles, Stanley, with the trade deadline and the winning streak. And
the
the
winning
draft.
streak, the draft, and then the trade deadline. Very fascinating time for Baltimore Orioles, and it's great. It's great to have them back in relevance again. You know,
Absolutely.
whether you're a baseball guy or football guy or both, it's just good. It feels good when both teams are relevant and important to people. All right.
No doubt.
All right, Gary. Thank you very much for being
You're welcome,
with
my
us,
man.
and we'll see you next week. Bye. 12 noon tomorrow for that baseball discussion with Baseball Prospect Journal owner and writer, content provider, Dan Zielinski. Bye.